day, everybody. It is Calxiyn here, and today we are going to be talking about the RWBY Grin campaign, which, if you guys don't know, is a new Rooster Teeth show where they're basically doing RWBY D&D. So before I get into that and tell you guys more about it, you guys should subscribe for more RWBY videos, join the Discord server if you guys want to talk RWBY with us, and this video was brought to you guys by my patrons and YouTube membership members, so thanks to them very much. Now, I'm going to be discussing this from the perspective that I think a lot of you will be coming from, and that is the perspective of somebody that knows what D&D is and has seen a little bit of D&D, because from my perspective, right, I played D&D a couple times in high school. I watched my friends play D&D, but I've never seen a D&D show. I know there are some, I know there's Critical Role. I think Critical Role is one of the most popular ones. I think that Rooster Teeth had another D&D show. I think it was Heroes and Halfwits. Is that Rooster Teeth? So I think that you guys get it. I have very casual D&D knowledge, I guess. And so from my perspective, and I guess this will help you guys if you've never watched one of these before, to me, it felt like a audiobook mixed with choose your own adventure, a little bit of improv, or a lot of improv, I should say. There was a lot of improvising going on. You have to think on your feet, right? And then a little bit of video game. And so that may be strange, but the Tailspire software that they use is really, really cool, and it's a turn-based video game. And so it's I don't know, I never expected for me to be so invested in a show like this, if that makes sense. But it's so immersive, right? Because you have Tailspire, when they do the fight, you can actually see it. You know what I mean? You can see it in front of you, and you can see the little pieces move around and hit each other and all of that sort of stuff. So it's really it's not super complex. At one point, I think a character shoots an arrow. You don't see the arrow fly across the screen. I don't think you do. I don't remember that. But, you know, just to see, the little Beowulf, shake and all that stuff because he's gotten hit, that's just so cool. And I say the audiobook, right, because Eddie, gives a lot of sort of, description, you know, you're all, in the plane, and, the plane is, it has this, and this, and all of that sort of stuff, and so he really, sets the scene for where you are, and it reminded me of, if I closed my eyes, it would be, reading an audiobook, you can sort of imagine in your head, where they are, sort of thing, and so I really, I didn't expect that, but I think an audiobook is a perfect comparison. It's an improvised audiobook that you get to make yourself, so why wouldn't people like D&D? You know what I mean? I'm just in this, magical world now, right? And it sounds silly, but I get the audiobook part too, because, everyone sort of describes, what they're doing, all of the players, I guess, Harry describes how his character looks, and he gives this visual of, Pike is, 100% out cold, fast asleep, a little bit of drool right here, and it makes you, you can close your eyes and you can imagine his character like that, right? And so, I don't know, it's just really, really cool in that way. So that's how I would explain it. If you've never watched a D&D show before, at least this one was, audiobook mixed with video game, mixed with choose your own adventure, and then, some improv, you know? And so I thought that was really, really cool, and I was also impressed by how immersive it was in other areas, because they have, sound effects, right? They had, walking sound effects and, fighting sound effects, from RWBY, I'm pretty sure, and then they had, nice RWBY, ambiance going on. I think the other thing that was important was that they were clear without over-explaining things, in terms of, the D&D stuff and the more, technical stuff that people may not know about, if that makes sense. So, at one point, I don't remember what exactly a character wanted to do, but it was very, easy to understand, okay, character wants to do a cartwheel, cartwheeling equals acrobatics check to see if they can actually pull that off or not. As someone with a casual basis, I felt it was really, really clear, oh, they're doing a check because character wants to do this. They need to see if a character can actually do it and all that stuff. And so that's basically all I have to say about the D&D part. And like I said, it was audiobook, turn-based video game, you know, choose your own adventure, and then some improv. What's not to like, you know what I mean? And I know this is so silly, and you guys probably won't. If you like D&D, you may not appreciate my comparison, but it reminded me of when I used to play dolls as a kid, okay? Using dolls as a vessel to create your story, because at the very end of the campaign, basically, they sort of talk to each other using the pieces, like the pieces move on the tailspin board. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you guys would just need to see it. And so that's what it reminded me of, because I don't know, I was thinking about when I used to play dolls as a kid, and like I used to like improv all my dialogue, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not writing a script. Like, I would go down to my basement and like my giant like pink Barbie castle with like a plan, but then you would improvise all your dialogue and all that stuff. And so D&D just seems like dolls but with fighting and like dice, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, like after I played Kingdom Hearts, I realized like, oh my god, Disney characters can fight, bro. And so like there were some dolls fighting in my doll games, I guess, but you guys understand what I mean? And I feel like that like I'm gonna be diving into a whole new world of like D&D stuff, because like this is my shit. So now that we've gone through like Cal explains her first time watching D&D, like why would you watch this? If you're a RWBY fan, why do you give a fuck? And I think if you're the RWBY fan like me who enjoys seeing the world be expanded through supplemental material or whatever, like the RWBY novels, you will enjoy this. And a lot of people don't, and that's fine. But if you're one of the people that like the RWBY novels and like that sort of stuff, I feel like that you'll really like this, because there was a complaint going around. There was a complaint that we didn't see a lot of Mistral when we were actually there, like in Volume 5. In Volume 4, we saw like the continent and the outside of the kingdom, but being in Mistral, we didn't actually like go around, you know what I'm saying? With a few exceptions. Like I think at one point like Crow's walking around like looking for info on Huntsman and stuff like that. Like there are some points where they go into Mistral, but they didn't really go into Mistral, right? Like that was a complaint of being like stuck inside the school and all that stuff. It's just expanding on what we've already seen. Like the show opens, like the D&D show opens with Crow talking about Mistral, and it fits in with what we've already seen in Mistral, like specifically with Cinder and like Miss Malachite. Like basically you guys should listen to it for yourself. That's another thing. Like if you want to hear Crow talk, right, he has 2 different messages so far in the D&D thing. So they actually got Crow's voice actor to like record that stuff, and I think that's so cool. But he's basically saying like people come to Mistral to be crime bosses and make empires, and that's not anything new. Like that's stuff that we have heard before. This is just expanding on a concept we didn't get to dig into the show as much, but it's still in the show. Like we see that with Miss Malachite and Cinder, and we sort of see that underground or underworld or whatever, right? And so it's not necessarily like a contradiction, right? Or it's not like, hey, like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but people get mad because sometimes they're like, oh, like this is retroactively exploring something. I don't think it's retroactively exploring, it's just expanding on concepts we didn't get to see because those concepts weren't relevant to Team RWBY. Like there was no reason for Team RWBY to go to Miss Malachite and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then Crow also mentions Lionheart, which I think that's sort of interesting that Lionheart is mentioned, because we know that Lionheart was sending Huntsman to the death, and this is before RWBY, apparently. The campaign takes place before RWBY, and so I feel like we'll get like a lot of like interesting extended lore through the show. So if you guys like that stuff, that'll be pretty interesting to you. So character-wise, I think that it was really nice. Like, I think that I like all the characters so far. I think that they're all interesting, or at least like intriguing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more of them. I really like how they have art of all the characters, like with different expressions. I think I talked about that before. And they all seem like varied from each other, like personality-wise, weapon-wise. We have a good mix. We have 2 humans, 2 faunus. I really just like all the characters that we got so far. You have Chad as Asher, Laura as Arastra. I didn't say that right. I'm so sorry. I will learn all the pronunciations. Pike is Carrie, or I guess I should say Carrie is Pike, and Chris is Phoenix. And so I really like Asher's physical design the most. Like, he just seems definitely sketchy, definitely like assassin type clothes and all that stuff, and that fits with him being monetarily driven. So I really like his character design. I like Laura's character, so we don't butcher the name again. Laura's character, her backstory is really interesting, because she basically says a little bit that, you know, she comes from a family of miners, and so it sort of reminds me, like, that's a standard job for a lot of faunus. And we haven't seen normal fauna Faunus in the show. Like, I know that sounds sort of silly, but like, think about it. Like, Blake is part of the White Fang, Illy is part of the White Fang. It's gonna be interesting to sort of explore like that Faunus sort of side, and I think she incorporated the backstory well, because she has a pickaxe, crossbow, and all that stuff, and all of her like family history ties into who she is now, and I just really like her character. Felix, who is the lion Faunus, he has a human parent and a Faunus parent, which I think like that's gonna be interesting as well, and so I feel like there's a lot of opportunity here to go more in depth into the Faunus like lore, the Faunus aspect of the world. I think Pike is one of the most like the characters where I'm like, like I'm gonna theorize, like I'm so excited. Like the theorist in me like started to latch onto him was that he went to Shade for 1 year and then he went to Haven for the other 3, and Shade is the school in Vacuo. He does not want to talk about it. I didn't do that right at all. Anyway, so the point is that I really want to know what that's all about. So I feel like they really sowed the seeds in terms of like making these characters intriguing. Like I like all the characters' personalities. Like I feel like that they will be more comfortable with their characters as things like progress, you know what I mean? But I think the first episode was solid. I'm excited for the next one. I think it can only get uphill from there in that respect. And so if you guys are sort of interested in that, like the sort of character interaction, like I feel like it's off to a really good start. I feel like everyone has interesting backstories. Like I feel like that we are in for a ride, like if everything sort of goes smoothly and all that stuff. And so let me know if you guys want to watch it. Let me know if you guys are watching it, if I've convinced you to give it a shot. Remember to join the Discord server if you guys want to discuss it with us. And now we'll show the names of the patrons who support the channel. And I hope that you guys enjoyed. I will see you later. Bye, guys.